Hello, parents of children in year three. This is a video called Meet the Teacher, and it is to tell you a little bit about what life is like in year three, about the expectations, about the learning your child is going to be doing this year. Obviously, since lockdown, things have changed slightly, so hopefully this video can explain a little bit about what those changes look like for your child as well. So let's make a start with the team. So this is myself, Mr. Johnston. Just so you know, I've been teaching at Sea Mills for, this is my 6th year now. I'm also Key Stage 2 lead, and I'm also maths lead in the school as well with Mrs. Curley. We've also got Mrs. Moody, and she is new to year 3 this year. She is our LSA in the class, so she'll be taking groups of children, she'll be offering in-class support, and that might be through children who need a bit of extra support or maybe to challenge children, but she's there as our fantastic LSA. We've also got Miss Billingham, and she is our new Senko in the school. So if you've got any concerns regarding sort of anything to do with your child in terms of SEND, then if you contact myself and I can get in contact with Miss Billingham, or you can contact her directly. Okay, so we've got reading in year 3. So I thought I'd start by talking a little bit about reading. It's massively important in our school and for all children to be able to read at their level that they should be, and that they are getting a wide experience of rich books that can really sort of inspire their imagination, but also to develop that kind of key reading skill. So every child receives a reading record in class, which they've already been given, and they can take those home. They can also choose a book from our library and take that home every day as well. And it's important they get brought back in too, so the children can read it in class as well, and I can hear them read too. It's extremely important that your child is read to as much as possible, but also that you listen to your child read. Tends to be that the biggest barrier to any academic achievement is their reading ability. What we tend to find is more confident readers are the children who are generally more confident in other areas in the school. Okay, we have a system in terms of reading records. So with your reading record, please try and read with your child 3 times a week is what we're asking, and that could be 5 minutes on an evening, 10 minutes, maybe a longer one at the weekend, whatever is easy for you and your routine and your family life. But it's really important that we try and get that 3 times a week in. You can sign the reading record to show that you've read with them, and you can write any additional comments that you'd like me to see. So if you feel like your child is struggling on certain words or sounds, or you have any concerns around how whether they're understanding what they've read and things like that, you can write little comments in those boxes and let me know. The reading record's also great for writing in new words that the children encounter. So a good strategy when you are reading is to ask them what certain words mean. And also to think about other words that might mean the same thing. So that's good for developing that broad vocabulary. So I tend to check reading records once a week. I'll also hear your child read individually as well across 2 weeks. That's a really good chance for me to sit one-to-one with your child and to understand kind of where they're at with their reading, what support they need, but also to look at whether they are ready to move up a book level. All the children have been benchmarked this term and read to, have been heard read, so we know where their levels are at. So it's really important that they take a book home that's at their level. Tends to be that at the end of year 3, we would like children to be at a sort of level 27, 28. However, due to COVID, it might be that the the outcomes might not be quite there. However, we will do our best to, push your child on with their reading and make sure they are making progress as well. So please read often and talk about books at home, discuss books you're reading, and please get your child to come in and tell me about books they've read at home and build that excitement as well. So we do a lot of our learning through books. We put a lot of emphasis on rich, varied texts, which we plan and teach our writing unit. So as your children are writers in our school, we use books to support them with that. So for example, here we've got a book called Dragonology, which we're using at the moment in class, and that is to help children explore non-fiction texts. And we will use that book to pull out vocabulary, sentence structures, structure of a text and things like that. These are some other books we will dig into this year. So Varjak Paw is an amazing book. Arthur and the Golden Robe is a fantastic kind of mythological tale about Arthur, who goes to explore kind of Viking ruins and discovers the Golden Robe. This is a great one. So this is actually, we've got using this as a class read at the moment. So at the end of every day, we read for 15 minutes to the children. And at the moment, our book is The Boy Who Grew Dragons by Andy Shepherd. And the children are really enjoying that. It's really funny, and it's a nice way to end the day. And it links really well with our kind of unit on dragons. And the Iron Man, which is a classic kind of year 3-4 text. Hopefully we'll be digging into that as well. So with writing, we teach through books. Like I said, we look at a book and we kind of think of writing that we can take from it as well. A lot of the writing this term will cover the year 2 curriculum in order to help children catch up. We'll have a big focus as well on presentation and handwriting. So a lot of this term is getting them back used to writing, to build their confidence, and to also kind of develop that presentation and that pride in their work that they've done. A lot of the basics as well, like capital letters, full stops, commas, you know, words from year 2 that they've learned that they should be spelling correctly now. So we'll be recapping on all of that as well. In terms of spellings, children have 10 spellings a week with a specific pattern. For example, this week our spelling pattern is words that end in LE, like bottle or battle, things like that. Terrible. So I give the spellings out on Monday. As of next week, so week 3, I will give them out on paper as well for children to take home and practice. Throughout the week, we'll use lots of strategies to help children practice those spellings. So look, cover, say, write, check. They look at a word, cover it up, say the word out loud, write it and check their answer. We may do that 3 times per word. Letter jumble, where we've got the words in jumbled letters. We might do crosswords, and at the end of the week, a kind of low stakes test where we see how well children did with those spellings. So I test them at the end of the week and revisit any that we struggle with, and we add them to our working wall as well in the classroom. For maths, we use the White Rose scheme of learning, which some of you might be familiar with from lockdown. It's a fantastic approach to maths where the children use a lot of concrete resources. So, for example, here we've got base 10 equipment. We also use lots of visuals, so pictorial representations like part whole models and things like that. The sort of, you can see here on my whiteboard, we've got tens frames, part whole models, key vocabulary, things like that. White Rose is great at splitting the curriculum down into small steps, and what's great this year is they're also revisiting concepts from last year that the children may have forgotten. So we use manipulatives, so these are manipulatives here, the base 10 equipment, and what we do, for example, at the moment, we're looking at numbers up to 1,000, so we will get children to build the number using hundreds, tens, and ones. That's useful for later in the term when we move on to addition. So, for example, here we've got 2 numbers that are represented. 21 plus 44, and we would use this to support their addition. So we'd look at adding the tens and adding the ones using that pictorial method. We also have times tables, and by the end of year 3, children are expected to know their division, multiplication and division fact for the 10s, 5s, 2s, 4s, and 8s. As you probably know, we're big in the school on TT Rockstars. Children have just this week received their username and passwords, and we've already kind of started our TT adventure in class, our TT journey. But please let me know if you need your username and password for home. It's great to give the children a chance to get on an iPad and do something educational on it, and that could be maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And do encourage times tables practice, even if it's chanting your 2s or 4s or 5s, or even just quick fire maths around breakfast at the end of the day. 2 times 5. 4 times 4, that sort of thing, just to get there, just to keep that momentum going. Everything else, we obviously haven't forgot our foundation subjects. So for geographers, so geography, science, music, all that sort of stuff is still going on. This term, we are looking at what's called a KPI from year 2. So those are key performance indicators. Basically, they're the indicators that a child is achieving within their year group. So this term, we're looking at KPIs from geography, from science, from DT, from history, art, and things like that. There's lots of chances this term for us to do all of those things. which means that we're not going to have a inquiry unit this term. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of dip in and out every week. A bit of geography, a bit of science, a bit of DT from year 2. So in order to catch those children up. But because we're doing dragons this term, everything is linked to dragons. So we've been looking at dragons across the world, looking at the continents and things like that. When we do move on after this term 2, we'll be starting an overarching inquiry. So it'll have a question to lead the unit. So for example, it could be how did people travel in the past, or what is underneath our feet. Those are 2 that we use. In terms of routines in the class, the day starts at 8:45 and finishes at 3 p.m. Please be prompt. With COVID regulations, we have to kind of keep things quite tight. Just remember at the end of the day to stay on the playground rather than kind of crowding around the doors, as there's still children learning in other classrooms. PE is Tuesday morning and Friday. Tuesday morning is with Mr. Kinnear, because he takes the class on Tuesday morning for my PPA time. Reading records and books to be brought in daily, and school uniform is required as well. You can see the website for information on those. Due to COVID-19, we're doing a lot more hand sanitizing in class, much more regularly when children are in and out of class, and we make sure we wash with soap and water, a good few times a day. Parents aren't allowed in class, but if you do need to speak to me about anything, please arrange this in advance. We can find somewhere to meet up, but I won't be able to have you in class at the end of the day. Each child also has their own learning pack with resources, so pencils, pens, rulers, all that sort of stuff as well. In terms of behaviour, so our school values haven't changed. They're still respect, responsibility and aspiration. When children show these, they can move their name up the behaviour ladder. If a child finishes the day on bronze, they get a point, house point. If they finish the day on silver, they get 2. And if they end up with gold, they get their certificate, their name read out in the celebration assembly, and 3 points as well. If a child is making the wrong choices, we can move their names down to yellow, orange or red, and those consequences now happen in class. And that will depend on the behaviours they were showing, or the choices that they made. They could involve time out in class, missing break, or a letter home, or call to parents. I'm just going to plug my laptop charger in because my battery is going to run out. Please don't run out. There we go. If we've got any concerns in regards to behaviour for your child, we'll make sure we kind of flag it up with you in advance. That might be a quick call or a quick sort of catch up at the end of the day as well. And if you have any concerns or queries about your child's behaviour, please do get in touch as well. We can have a discussion about what we're doing in class and other things we can do as well. Wellbeing, so it's really tricky. It is a tricky time for many people, and I have to say that the children have been amazing since they've came back. They've really got back into the swing of things quickly, very unfazed by the kind of change, and they've took to washing their hands, being more careful with their resources, really, really well. So they've done an amazing job so far, and it's certainly made kind of our jobs a lot easier in school as well. However, we do have more focused PSHE sessions now, looking at emotions and feelings. And we also have our kind of timeout area where if a child is struggling, they can use that area to calm themselves down or to do some sort of mindfulness activity while they're kind of regulating themselves. Okay, so in terms of communication, I'll try and update the website as much as possible. I'll put spellings on the website as well, along with kind of newsletters and any other kind of stuff that's been going on in class. I've also got a Padlet, which I'm going to link in the bottom of the YouTube video. And that Padlet is for you to ask any questions. It's really easy to use. Just head to that web page and there's a little pink add button. You can chuck a question on there and I'll answer it because I get a little notification when it comes up. Okay, that's about it really. We've had a really great start to the term. Children have settled really well. We've had such a great time. This is just a couple of pictures of things we've been doing. Dragon eyes, all sorts of maths work. It's been great. But if you do have any questions, please let me know. If not, thanks very much.